Hey everybody, my name is Brad. I like to help people start or scale medical practices. Today, let's talk about the first 1,000 patients, a simple acquisition system that actually works. If your clinic is new or you opened a second or third location, you might be asking yourself, how do I actually get patients in the door? Well, you're not alone. Pretty much every clinic asks this question. Same thing from psychiatrists to primary care to physical therapists to therapists. Everyone is asking the same thing. How do I get patients in the door? The first 1,000 patients are going to come from a repeatable system: generated demand, convert demand, and retain the demand. Those are the three ways that you're going to focus on these 1,000 patients. If any of those break, your growth is going to stall. Today, I'm going to give you a simple acquisition system that you can implement with a small team and a normal budget without relying on luck. The first thing you need to think about is your patient acquisition. A lot of times in sales, you'll hear that there's a funnel. Well, it's a pipeline. I think that's a better way to think about it, but you also could think of it as a funnel. In the pipeline, you need awareness. People need to know that you exist. They need to have trust in you, that you're credible. Now, luckily for us, a lot of times the degree offers a lot of that credibility and trust. Then you have the conversion, people actually booking or scheduling, the show rate, how many of them actually show up. And then finally is your retention. How many of them actually come back, bring family? If you're stuck at just seeing like one new patient a day, then one of these is broken. One of these funnels or pipelines is completely broken, and you need to take it to the next level, and you need to fix the broken part of that: awareness, trust, conversion, the show rate, or the retention. The goal is not necessarily do more marketing here. If you're going to throw more money at bad ads, you're just wasting your time. I would say the number one thing whenever I consult with you guys, because I do a lot of consulting for Google ads or otherwise online ads, is that the way your ads are set up is a very broken way. Someone advised you in a very broken way. So the goal here is not do more marketing. The goal is to fix the leak or create a more directed marketing to get the patients or the right clients in your door. Look, I'll be real with you, as the first 1,000 is way different than the next like 10,000. The first 1,000 patients is not about optimization. It's more about momentum. So you need speed. You need to get there. You need consistency. You need clear messaging. You need a reliable scheduling and access and a good way to people asking frequently asked questions. Do you take insurance? What happens if I have a high deductible plan? Do you do ADHD treatment if you're primary care or psychiatrist? That is how you're going to get the first 1,000 patients. To get to 10,000 patients, you're going to need scalable systems, multiple providers, automation, operations. That is totally different than your first 1,000. And the reason I'm focusing on 1,000 is because a lot of you guys are starting out from trying to get from 0 to 1,000, or maybe trying to get to 1,000 new patients in 1 year. That is the big goal for what I'm going to help you out with today. All right, the first one, part one, is positioning. Who the hell are you? You need to write down, who is your clinic? Okay. And what is your clinic all about? So first off, when I named my practice, it's no secret anymore. I'm throwing it out there. My name, Brad Vanghouse. I own a clinic in Austin, Texas called Thrive Medical. Who are we? It is a practice that takes regular insurance, and we are hell-bent on a better customer experience. So let me disclose that in just more a succinct one line. We are a traditional primary care practice focused on health and happiness for everyone we treat. That tells people a lot in one sentence who we are. Another way you could phrase this is we're primary care with same-week appointments and a team-based approach. Comprehensive internal medicine with longer visits and fewer rushed appointments. Don't really love that one because you're promising longer visits. But you could be a DPC with upfront pricing, modern access, the way medicine was meant to be practiced. The first way that you're going to get people in highly depends on, are you traditional fee-for-service or are you DPC? If it's DPC, a lot of times you're going to have to educate them. What is DPC? You need on your website then to figure out, okay, maybe I need a video on there explaining what exactly DPC is. Maybe pay someone to do that. If you're traditional fee-for-service, a lot of times they're going to want all those frequently asked questions. Do you take my insurance? How easy is it for me to book an appointment? Do you have same day or same week availability? What types of conditions do you treat? If you're a GI doctor, do you do inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, or do you just do colonoscopies? If you have the cash pay services, think of it as, what would you, as a patient that is uninformed, what would you like to see? Maybe there's a meet and greet. Maybe you offer a free meet and greet. There's a low T clinic here in town that recently opened up as a franchise, and their model is that every single evaluation is quote unquote free. Yes, they upsell the hell out of you. Yes, they try to put you in these monthly subscription plans. But to get people in the door, to get those first 1,000 people in the door, it's a free meet and greet. You need to give people a clear reason on who are you and why should I book today. Maybe you're going for the executive wellness for a busy individual. Heck, there's a therapist in town here in Austin that their whole like shtick is that they help co-founders for startups communicate better. I mean, they're a marriage and family therapist, but they're going towards like startups. Their messaging is very clear. Their online booking platform, very clear. The next part then to get your 1,000 patients leads into access, okay? The biggest thing I see in terms of access is not necessarily like appointment times being tomorrow or not, but how can they get a hold of you if they have questions? The biggest killer is phones. Long hold times, no one answering the phones, maybe they leave a voicemail, it never gets answered or returned, or no online booking. Even if it's a request to an appointment, you need some sort of online availability. I think in terms of access, the minimum standard you need to shoot for is that phones are answered during business hours. Maybe it's getting a virtual assistant, but you need to make sure that your phones are being answered. I will say though, during ebbs and flows, flu season right now, oh my God, some hours like between 8 and 9 a.m., we might miss 25% of phone calls because my clinic between the 5 locations at this point in time is getting over 1,000 phone calls a day. If you break that up, I mean, most of those phone calls are coming in the first hour. At one point in time, we had over 300 phone calls in the very first hour that we opened. That's hard. That's really hard to scale, and you got to pick your balances, okay? I can't hire based on just that 1 hour, but what I did do is that I created, I'm sorry we missed your call text message. You can click here to text directly with one of our staff, or you can book an appointment or send a portal message here. You need clear messaging if you can't get to it. We'll call you right back. We'll text you right back. Automated text messages. You need a voicemail with very clear prompts. If you were looking for a medication refill, you have reached the wrong messaging system. Push 7 to go to that one. Again, you want to encourage the immediate, I need help today, I need to be a new patient, or I need a follow-up visit. That needs to go to one that's almost always answered every single time. If you're doing an online request, you need to make sure that that gets answered in the first 15 to 30 minutes of whenever they put that request in. Whenever I'm doing a consulting, like if I was thinking of hiring a consultant, almost every single time is that what kills deals is time. If I put in a consulting like, hey, I want to, for example, I was looking at some people on how to grow my YouTube faster because my videos, I think, are not great. I put in my information for this guy that has like millions of followers, and within 15 minutes, I got a call from one of his representatives. Hey, we got your form. Love to work with you, man. Here's the next step, next step, next step, next step. Now, I didn't sign up for it, but that's the kind of space and that's the kind of process that you need. You don't want someone filling out this form and waiting 24, 48, 72 hours. You need answered ASAP. Now, that could be as simple as going through HubSpot or one of the CRM platforms that just auto replies to them. Hey, we got your stuff. Here's the next steps that are going to go through. Download these PDFs if you want to learn more. Confidence converts. Hesitation will lose you patience. All right, the next thing, local demand. Now that you've generated some demand, you need 3 lanes running at the same time. So the first one, Google demand. All right, high intent. The highest intent patients are already searching primary care near me, best GI doctor near me. You need to show up where they're searching. By far, 90% of all people searching online, whether it be DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing, whatever, 90% of them are still coming through Google search. So you need to have Google Ads, a Google business profile set up. You need to have photos, services listed. You need to ask for consistent reviews. And I will say this is not optional, and you need to encourage detail reviews. In my opinion, what I am seeing show up is that from an SEO optimization standpoint, gone are the days where you could just create a blog article saying, I'm the best primary care doc in San Antonio. Those days are gone. You need a lot of high intent, like Google reviews saying, I saw Dr. So-and-so. He was amazing in San Antonio. I thought he was the best primary care doctor. It treated all my needs. Google is taking a lot of weight into those individual critiques and putting that towards your SEO. You need to make sure that your names, phone addresses, everything matches, because if it doesn't, you are going to be penalized significantly for doing this. And your website homepage must clearly say location, insurances, accepting new patients. If you do nothing else, get Google right. All right, lane number 2 is either referral demand or just kind of intrinsic demand. So it's the cheapest, the most trust, and they are most likely to return to you. So these referrals are not an accident. They're more of a system. So a lot of these are going to be like your patient referrals. Oh, my wife or my husband saw you. Oh my God, they just wouldn't shut up about how amazing you are and that I need to come back and see you. Those build trust from their friends, and they are almost certainly going to see you. Now, this scales exponentially with time because think about it. Like I've talked about in other podcasts, it's like, if you see 50 patients are not going around at Starbucks being like, hey, thanks for my latte. Oh, and by the way, if you need an amazing pap smear, I got a gynecologist for you. No, that's freaking weird. All right. But over time, those 50 people are going to go out, and over the next year, someone may come up with, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Who do you use in OBGYN? Or I have a problem. I need to go somewhere. It'll probably come up. And that will lead you to another client or another patient, and it'll just keep exponentially growing from there. If you are in a DPC or cash pay services, sometimes this is a referral bonus. Hey, we'll give you $50 off, $100 off your next service, or if you get a referral and that referral converts. For that, then you need to train the staff to say it every day, every encounter. The other thing from this standpoint could be referrals from other primary care docs or specialists. So, like I talked about, there's a cardiologist here in town that I went, introduced myself to. All he does is take STEMI calls. And I thought, what a waste of my time talking to this guy. I literally just bullshitted with this guy for like an hour and a half. And I ended up just giving him my card, my phone number. We became great friends. Next thing I know, this guy for free is just sending me every single patient. He's probably sent me hundreds of patients at this point in time, all for free. That one meeting and one business card. So these are the long tail. They're going to take years for this to pay off, but the trust is there and it's all free or almost free. Now, the last one is going to be like the paid demand, the fastest, but the most expensive. These are going to be the ones where you're looking at like ZocDoc, or you're going to look at other services to just fill up your schedule. Now, some of that does fall into Google search ads, where your ads are going to show up on Google. Again, lane one. Some of that could be either organic SEO for lane one, or this one where you're actually paying for those ads. Meta works and works pretty well, but just know that it's, again, low intent. People are searching for other things. Maybe they're putting their kid to bed. They're not worried about who's the best rheumatologist in town, but it gets the brand awareness in their mind. Now, from this standpoint, lane three, what I like to do is work the math backwards. Let's say you're a primary care doc and you're starting up a primary care doc in Nebraska. Okay, worst case scenario, you use ZocDoc. They charge $45 per encounter, but 50% nationwide, their no-show rate is about 50%. So your actual conversion cost on patients actually showing up is closer to $75 per patient that walks in the door. All right, so why am I bringing this up? One of the most frequent questions I get is, well, Brad, how much should I spend on a marketing budget? Okay, how many patients you want to get a month? Okay, let's say you want to get 150 new patients in per month. Well, if you got all of those through ZocDoc, the most expensive way to acquire a patient, you're going to have to spend $11,250 on marketing to get those 150 patients in per month to your practice. That's why I am not a big fan of ZocDoc. It is maybe a necessary evil in the beginning, but you should absolutely not rely on this. I mean, my customer acquisition costs through Google are about $20, maybe $25 on a very expensive month. Think about that. I could basically get the same number of patients, 150 patients, for darn near 3 to 4 times as cheap as this, about $3,000 for the same ones versus $11,250. Yes, this is a very important marketing lane that you need to be in, but work the math backwards and start thinking about, where am I going to advocate those dollars for? Me, myself, I probably do about 80% in Google, 10% in ZocDoc, and another 10% in Meta, either Facebook and Instagram. All right, now that we've got that down, the next one is conversions. Again, back to missed calls is like lost revenue. This is where most clinics start leaking patients when you hit kind of the 500 to 1,000 range, is that you are not returning calls quick enough. And you have maybe a huge missed call list. Maybe you're not even texting patients. Maybe you're not even doing like an auto text. Hey, I'm sorry we missed your call, but please click here to text with the clinic, or click here to talk about a portal message, or click here to book an appointment. This is in the business what's called a warm lead. This is someone who has already searched, vetted you, gone through the trust. They tried to book an appointment. Jesus, I mean, they're handing it to you on a silver platter. If you call back 6 hours later, good chance they're gone. In my experience, if we don't call back in the first 15 minutes, 15, that patient's gone. They've moved on to somewhere else for a new patient. Along with that is reducing no-shows. If you can confirm and have good patient communication, you're also most likely going to reduce the no-shows. You'll have high intent, very clear messaging on who we are, what do we take, what insurances do we take, arrive 15 minutes early, what does the cancellation policy look like? This matters so much for the no or reducing no-shows, is because your first 1,000 patients, you're usually going to want to start booking them out in the future to get yourself a little bit more full as your time goes on. And the last part that I'll talk about is the retention flywheel. So this is more, how do you retain that patient long term? As your clinic grows and you get closer to that 1,000, how do you continue to retain those visits? Well, I think personally it starts with a clear plan. What can they expect? When are your labs going to get followed up? How are you going to get a message? How are you going to receive your referral to another consultant? What is the follow-up interval between visits? And how should that next appointment be scheduled? I ping every single one of them. My front desk, they should be booking the next appointment on the way out. And if a patient's hesitant, we say, you're going to get a message a week ahead of time saying you got an upcoming appointment. If that time no longer works for you, at least it pinged you in your mind that you have one or need one. And then we also tell them, if that doesn't work, in that message is just a button to cancel or reschedule. You can reschedule it for a time that works for you. retention turns into acquisition because you already paid that 20 or God forbid, ZocDoc, that's $75. If you don't book that follow-up at the next visit, they're just going to go somewhere else. There's a very good chance that you're not going to retain that one. So how do I work on this? Well, great access. I really, really love a friendly front desk. I mean, friendly front desk or front desk is, in my opinion, besides physician and biller, like the next most amazing position you need in your practice. You need short wait times. You also need a clinician who listens. You could be the best doctor in the world. I hired one in the past, the most amazing clinician in the world, but if the bedside manner is horrible, no one's going to want to come back and see them. You also need clear next steps. They're scared a lot of times. Oh my God, what do you mean I have diabetes? I didn't know anything about this. You think they're going to retain all the info you tell them? Hell no. That's why you need consistent follow-ups, clear next steps, write it down on an after visit summary, print it out. This is what I want you to do today. I want you to call this person. I want you to book this mammogram. I want you to call this person. I want you to see the specialist, and I want you to see me in 2 weeks. And then the final thing is if patients invite the kindness of, oh my God, I love this freaking clinic, or I love this doctor, that is an opportunity to be like, oh, man, I love that. I appreciate that. If you don't mind, leave a good review or tell your friends and family. It's that simple. Your first 1,000 patients are going to be the hardest patients you're going to acquire because, like I've talked about in my other videos, once you learn how to turn the faucet on, you're going to learn how to hire a great front desk, hire a great clinician to have that bedside manner, have the good standard operating procedures so that they get an auto text message whenever we miss a phone call. Then you can easily scale the hell out of it from 1 new location to 5 new locations, or from 1,000 visits to 10,000 visits. I mean, hell, I just saw in December, we saw over 1,100 new patients in December. Did it start like that overnight for me? Hell no. But you'll get there, and I can help you get there. If you guys want me to work on your Google Ads, I will leave a link below and I will consult with you. I have now consulted with over 650 of you guys. Thank you so much for every single one of you guys that follow along. About a month ago, we hit over 10,000 podcast downloads, and I really appreciate it. Just as a quick aside before I go, my podcast automatically publishes on YouTube, and YouTube has been basically turning that auto publication off, and I have to keep going in there and turn it back on. I'm working with YouTube now, but it seems like they do not like the fact that I publish my podcast on another platform and then it auto publishes on YouTube. It seems like YouTube wants me to directly upload a video podcast to YouTube. So I'm not saying that my podcasts are going to leave YouTube, but in the future, I will have to tweak some things because many of you guys have sent me issues that my podcasts are not showing up correctly all the time on YouTube, and that is a quirk with me not directly publishing podcasts on YouTube. I will fix that in the future. I'm still working with YouTube on what the hell is going on and what their problem is, and they're trying to fix it. I'm sure they can fix it, but I may just have to go in a different direction and directly upload to YouTube and to the online other podcast services. We'll see. Thank you guys so much for following along. I'll see you guys on the next one. See y'all later.